What if the biggest reason you are not successful yet has nothing to do with your talent, your luck, or your hard work, but with the attitude you carry inside your mind every single day? What if the same situations that break some people are the exact situations that make others powerful? And what if, without even realizing it, your negative thinking is quietly stealing your confidence, your opportunities, and your future? This summary will challenge the way you see yourself, your problems, and your life. Stay till the end, because once you understand this, you will never look at success the same way again. The Power of a Positive Attitude, Your Road to Success, is written by Roger Fritz, a leadership expert and motivational author. This book is not about fake happiness or blind optimism. It is about understanding how your attitude shapes your decisions, your actions, and ultimately, your destiny. Roger Fritz wants to teach us one simple but life-changing truth. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond to it. And that response decides whether you move forward or stay stuck. The book begins by explaining why so many capable people fail in life. It is not because they lack intelligence or skill. It is because they allow negative thoughts to control their behavior. A negative attitude quietly weakens you. It makes problems look bigger than they are. It makes failure feel permanent. It makes you doubt yourself even before you try. Over time, this mindset becomes a habit, and without noticing, you start expecting bad outcomes. When you expect failure, you unconsciously act in ways that create it. Roger Fritz explains that attitude is like the lens through which you see the world. Two people can face the same problem. One sees it as a disaster, the other sees it as a lesson. One gives up, the other grows stronger. The difference is not the problem, but the attitude. A positive attitude does not mean life becomes easy. It means you become stronger than your difficulties. The author also talks about how attitude affects self-image. When you constantly think negatively, you start believing you are not good enough. You stop trusting your abilities. You avoid challenges because you fear failure. This creates a cycle where low confidence leads to poor results, and poor results reinforce low confidence. A positive attitude breaks this cycle. When you believe you can improve, you take action. When you take action, you gain experience, and experience builds confidence. One powerful idea in this book is that success is not an event. It is a process. People often wait for motivation to come from outside. They wait for perfect conditions. Roger Fritz says this is a trap. A positive attitude creates motivation from within. Even on bad days, even when results are slow, a positive mindset keeps you moving forward. Small, consistent efforts guided by the right attitude lead to big results over time. The book also highlights how attitude affects relationships and opportunities. People are naturally drawn to those who are optimistic, calm, and solution-focused. A negative attitude pushes people away. Complaining, blaming, and constant pessimism close doors. A positive attitude opens them. It makes you more approachable, more trustworthy, and more influential. Roger Fritz makes it clear that positivity is a choice, not a personality trait. You are not born positive or negative. You train your mind through daily thoughts and reactions. Every time something goes wrong, you have a choice. You can complain or you can learn. You can quit or you can adapt. Over time, these choices shape your character and your future. Before you can build a powerful positive attitude, you must understand where negative thinking actually comes from. Roger Fritz explains that negativity is rarely created by one big failure. It is built slowly through small experiences, repeated disappointments, and the stories we tell ourselves about those moments. One rejection, one criticism, one mistake can quietly plant a seed in the mind. If that seed is watered with overthinking and fear, it grows into a belief like, "I'm not good enough," or "nothing ever works for me." The book explains that the human mind is naturally biased toward negativity. We remember pain more strongly than success. We replay failures more than victories. This was useful for survival in ancient times. But in modern life, it often works against us. When something goes wrong, the mind tries to protect us by saying, "Don't try again. You might get hurt." Over time, this protective voice becomes a limiting voice. Roger Fritz points out that negative thinking often disguises itself as realism. People say, "I'm not negative, I'm just being practical." But in reality, constant doubt and fear are not realism. They are habits. Realism sees both risk and possibility. Negativity sees only risk. A person with a negative attitude expects problems before they happen, and when they do happen, they feel confirmed in their fear. The book also talks about how the environment shapes attitude. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, and the conversations you repeat every day slowly influence your mindset. If you are surrounded by complaining, blaming, and hopeless thinking, your mind starts copying that pattern. Without realizing it, you begin to speak the same language of limitation. Another deep insight from this part is how a negative attitude affects decision-making. When your attitude is negative, you hesitate more. You overanalyze. You delay action. You wait for certainty that never comes. Opportunities pass not because they were bad, but because fear made you slow. A positive attitude does not remove risk, but it reduces hesitation. It encourages action even when outcomes are uncertain. Roger Fritz explains that many people sabotage themselves not by doing something wrong, but by doing nothing at all. They stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and routines that limit them simply because change feels uncomfortable. Negative thinking convinces them that staying stuck is safer than trying something new. This is how potential slowly dies. The book introduces the idea that thoughts create emotional momentum. One negative thought creates another. Soon your entire mood shifts. When your mood is low, your energy drops. When energy drops, performance drops. And when performance drops, results suffer. This cycle repeats until it feels normal. Breaking this cycle requires awareness first. You must notice your thoughts before you can change them. Roger Fritz emphasizes that you cannot stop negative thoughts from appearing, but you can stop them from staying. The problem is not the first negative thought, but the second one that agrees with it. When you say, "Yes, that's true," you give it power. A positive attitude challenges negative thoughts instead of accepting them as facts. This part of the book teaches that attitude is trained through repetition. Just like muscles grow through exercise, mindset grows through daily mental habits. If you repeatedly focus on problems, your mind becomes skilled at finding problems. If you repeatedly focus on solutions, your mind becomes skilled at finding opportunities. As this part closes, you start to realize something uncomfortable but empowering. Your biggest obstacle may not be the world outside you, but the voice inside you. And if that voice can be trained to think differently, then your future can change faster than you ever imagined. At this stage of the journey, Roger Fritz shifts the focus from understanding the problem to building the solution. He explains that a positive attitude is not something you wait for. It is something you practice daily, especially when life does not cooperate. Most people think positivity comes after success, but the book reveals the opposite truth. Success often comes after positivity. The author explains that the first step in building a positive attitude is taking responsibility for your reactions. You may not control events, but you always control interpretation. When something goes wrong, your mind immediately creates a meaning. That meaning decides your emotional response. If you tell yourself, "This always happens to me," you feel powerless. If you tell yourself, "This is a challenge I can learn from," you feel stronger. The situation stays the same, but your inner power changes. Roger Fritz talks about the importance of self-teaching. The words you say to yourself every day quietly shape your identity. If your inner voice is harsh, critical, and discouraging, it becomes your enemy. A positive attitude begins when you turn that voice into a coach instead of a judge. Instead of saying, "I failed again," you say, "I learned something that will help me next time." This small shift changes how the brain responds to failure. The book also highlights the role of focus. Whatever you focus on grows in your awareness. If you focus on what is missing, you feel empty. If you focus on what is possible, you feel motivated. Roger Fritz encourages training the mind to look for progress instead of perfection. Even small improvements deserve recognition. Progress builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Another powerful idea in this part is the connection between attitude and action. A positive attitude is not passive thinking. It leads to proactive behavior. When your mindset is positive, you are more likely to take initiative, communicate clearly, and persist longer. Action reinforces attitude. Each small action proves to your mind that you are capable, and this proof strengthens positivity. Roger Fritz also explains how gratitude strengthens a positive attitude. Gratitude shifts attention from what is wrong to what is working. It does not deny problems, but it prevents problems from controlling your entire emotional state. When gratitude becomes a habit, stress reduces and clarity increases. You start making better decisions because your mind is calmer. The book emphasizes that setbacks are unavoidable, but discouragement is optional. A positive attitude does not eliminate disappointment, but it shortens recovery time. Instead of staying stuck in frustration, you bounce back faster. This ability to recover is what separates long-term achievers from those who quit early. Roger Fritz reminds readers that consistency matters more than intensity. You do not need to feel positive all the time. You need to return to positivity quickly. One bad day does not define you unless you allow it to. A positive attitude is the habit of returning to belief, effort, and hope again and again. As this part comes to an end, you begin to see that positivity is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about choosing growth over bitterness. It is about training your mind to support your goals instead of fighting them. In the next part, we will explore how a positive attitude directly influences success, leadership, and long-term achievement in real-life situations. In this part, Roger Fritz clearly shows how a positive attitude moves beyond the mind and starts shaping real-world results. He explains that attitude is not just a personal tool for feeling better. It is a force that influences performance, leadership, and long-term success. The way you think directly affects how you act, and how you act determines what you achieve. The book explains that people with a positive attitude approach work and goals differently. They see problems as tasks to solve, not as reasons to quit. When obstacles appear, they ask better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I do next?" This shift in questioning leads to better decisions and faster progress. Roger Fritz talks about leadership and influence even for people who are not in formal leadership roles. A positive attitude naturally inspires others. When you stay calm under pressure, focused during uncertainty, and hopeful during setbacks, people trust you more. They feel safe around you. This trust creates influence, and influence creates opportunities. The author also explains how attitude affects resilience. Life will test everyone. Failure, criticism, rejection, and loss are unavoidable. A negative attitude turns these experiences into permanent wounds. A positive attitude turns them into temporary lessons. Resilient people do not avoid pain, but they refuse to let pain define them. They recover faster and move forward stronger. Another key insight from this part is how attitude impacts long-term goals. Success rarely comes quickly. It requires patience, effort, and persistence. A positive attitude helps you stay committed even when results are slow. Instead of quitting because progress is invisible, you trust the process. This trust keeps you consistent, and consistency eventually brings success. Roger Fritz explains that stress is also deeply connected to attitude. Two people can carry the same workload. One feels overwhelmed, the other feels challenged. The difference is not the work, but the mindset. A positive attitude reduces emotional stress by increasing mental control. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding thoughtfully. The book also highlights that mistakes are not enemies of success. They are part of the path. People with a positive attitude do not hide from mistakes or blame others. They analyze, adjust, and improve. This learning mindset accelerates growth and prevents repeated failure. Roger Fritz emphasizes that attitude shapes reputation. Over time, people become known not just for their skills, but for their mindset. A person who stays solution-oriented, respectful, and optimistic earns respect and trust. This reputation opens doors that skill alone cannot. As this part closes, a powerful realization forms. Success is not just about what you know or what you do. It is about who you become through your attitude. In the final part, we will explore how to protect your positive attitude in a negative world and make it a lifelong strength, rather than a temporary phase. In the final part, Roger Fritz focuses on the most difficult but most important challenge: protecting your positive attitude in a world that constantly tests it. He explains that negativity will never disappear from life. Problems, criticism, bad news, and difficult people are unavoidable. The real question is not whether negativity will come, but whether you will allow it to live inside you. The book teaches that a positive attitude must be guarded intentionally. Just as you protect your physical health by avoiding harmful habits, you must protect your mental health by choosing what you allow into your mind. Constant exposure to complaints, fear-based thinking, and discouraging conversations slowly weakens positivity. Roger Fritz encourages being selective with influences, not by avoiding reality, but by refusing to drown in negativity. One of the most powerful lessons in this part is learning how to respond to failure. Failure does not mean you are broken. It means you are growing. A positive attitude reframes failure as feedback. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" you ask, "What can this teach me?" This mindset keeps you moving forward instead of trapping you in regret. The author also explains that setbacks often test commitment, not ability. Many people quit not because they cannot succeed, but because they lose belief during hard moments. A positive attitude acts like an inner anchor. It keeps you steady when emotions rise and circumstances shake your confidence. It reminds you why you started when motivation fades. Roger Fritz emphasizes the importance of daily renewal. A positive attitude is not permanent once achieved. It must be refreshed every day. Each morning is a new mental choice. You can carry yesterday's disappointments, or you can start again. People who succeed long-term are not those who never fall, but those who reset quickly. Another key idea is self-respect. A positive attitude grows stronger when you keep promises to yourself. Small acts of discipline, honesty, and effort build inner trust. When you trust yourself, confidence grows naturally. This confidence makes it easier to stay positive even when others doubt you. The book closes with a powerful reminder. Attitude determines direction. You may not know exactly where life will take you, but your mindset decides whether that journey is filled with fear or growth. A positive attitude does not guarantee success, but without it, success becomes much harder to reach. As this summary ends, one truth becomes clear. Your attitude is always working either for you or against you. Every thought, every reaction, every choice is shaping your future. The road to success is not found outside you. It begins within your mind with the decision to face life with belief, responsibility, and a positive attitude.